Chris Worden for tell you today how we've recently saved a director £100,000. Yes, you've heard that right, £100,000. Let me tell you a little bit of background about this. It's all around overdrawn directors' loan accounts. If you don't know what one is, I suggest you look on our YouTube channel because we've done a ton of videos. And if you're a director who's potentially going into liquidation at some stage in the future, it's something you need to be aware of. But let's get into today's video. Let's say John came to us a few months ago. He was about to sign papers with another insolvency company, and he'd seen one of my videos on YouTube. So he rang me, he says, Chris, can you give me some information? I've spoken to one or two others, but I don't want to rush into that. And I like that. If someone rings me and he goes, I've spoken to someone else, the first thing I think is, thank God for that. This guy's not a bull in a china shop. He's considering his options. And the standard stuff, someone else had quoted him £5,000 to liquidate, and that's all he'd been told. It would be £5,000 to liquidate, and then they're trying to pressurise him to sign the paperwork, because if he doesn't, he might be accused of trading while insolvent. Listen, loads of us know that the actual amount of trading insolvent, the people that actually get done for trading insolvently in a year, very, very minimal. But it's generally something that an insolvency person will say to you to scare you to sign the paperwork. Anyway, we've looked at it. On his accounts, he owes about 75 grand as an overdrawn loan account. And I've gone, listen, what's all that about? He says, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you've spoken to other people. Has nobody mentioned this to you? No one's mentioned this to you. So I'm like, listen, this is a problem. What made it a bigger problem is his accounts were a couple of years out of date. And I've said, listen, if you proceed now, you've got at least a 75 grand problem. It could be more. So what we did is we did a bank reconciliation. We basically checked everything that he'd put into the company and took out of the company since that point. And his overdrawn director's loan account, we actually estimated it to be around 155,000 quid. So that was a shock to John, as you can aware, because I've said, listen, John, you put this business into liquidation. You owe it 155 grand. And we're duty bound to say, John, you need to pay that. And his face went white. So I've said, right, but what we can do is an insolvency practitioner has the discretion to offer a discount in certain circumstances, depending on a number of things. How likely are they to recover the money? How quickly can they recover the money? And who's going to fund the legal action against you if you don't comply with them and bury their head in the sand? Anyway, long story short, he ended up getting it tidied up for £50,000, and he's been able to pay the £50,000 over 12 months, which he could afford. Had he signed his paperwork originally with the other firm, this guy'd have had a 150 grand problem. So if you've spoken to somebody else, get another bit of advice. Do not go with the first person that you speak to. Make sure you've got two bits of advice to compare them to, because it's costly, this job, if you get it wrong. I hope you found this useful. Chris Worden.